Hello future investors and welcome back to another weekly episode. I hope you're all doing well and I hope all of your investment goals are going to plan. Now today I want to get straight into the episode and start by asking the question, what is a better investment? Owning the Queen Elizabeth bullion coins or owning the King Charles bullion coins? So I'm not going to beat around the bush, I'm going to get straight to it and try and give you some information to help you make an informed decision. So by the end of this episode, you can walk away comfortably knowing what is the better investment option for you. Okay, so here I've got two pieces in question. Both are 1 ounce silver bullion coins. One is a Queen Elizabeth coin and one is a King Charles coin. Now, I think there is a right and a wrong answer, but I'm going to start by saying silver is always going to be worth its weight's value. I think if you're already looking at investing in gold bullion, silver bullion, precious metals, whether you buy either or, I think you're doing a very good thing and you're probably ahead of more people than you think, because precious metals is still quite an unknown investment really in the great scheme of things. Okay, so moving on back to the question. What's a better investment and which one should you buy, Queen Elizabeth or King Charles? Well, it's difficult to say, isn't it? Should you buy King Charles because he's a new monarch? He's a rather popular new monarch, you could say. Or should you buy the Queen Elizabeth ones because she was the longest reigning monarch of the United Kingdom, and of course she's passed away, so you could argue that these specific coins are going to go down in terms of their minting because it's going to move over to King Charles. So would that make these more valuable over King Charles? It's a great question, but let's start off by saying both of these are capital gains tax exempt. Let's ignore the fact that one's a Britannia and one's a coronation piece. We're not really focusing on that right now. We're focusing on the actual images of King Charles and Queen Elizabeth. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to say that I believe Queen Elizabeth coins are still more popular. I think there's been a slight increase in the premiums since she's passed when looking at the Queen Elizabeth pieces. Like I said earlier, for the reasons that they're probably going to stop minting these one day, probably not right now. Maybe they have already, considering King Charles pieces have come out. So you could argue that Queen Elizabeth ones could be very popular in the future because people will want a bit of history, and to have Queen Elizabeth, the longest reigning monarch, on your silver bullion or gold bullion investment, it's a good argument to have. Now, you could argue that because King Charles is a new monarch, no one knows what his future holds. He could be probably the most popular monarch ever. He could probably be the least popular monarch ever. It's something time will tell, but as it stands right now, he's doing a pretty good job. It seems like people like him. He seems to be modernising the monarchy, and that I think that's a good thing in my opinion, because it was a little bit dated, and it's a common knowledge that the monarchy needs to stay with the times and stay with the people, because really it's the people that keep the monarchy in power. So yeah, very, very interesting debate. Unfortunately, in the United Kingdom, if you're new to investing and you're thinking about buying your first silver pieces, I need to tell you that silver does have VAT on the purchases, at least brand new from bullion dealers. You're going to get charged 20% VAT on any silver bullion purchase you make, unlike gold, which they don't charge any VAT on. So that is something that makes gold slightly more attractive. However, having said that, these are still capital gains tax exempt pieces, so no matter what the value comes to for these in the future, it will always be exempt from tax. So that is a wonderful feature. Now, in my opinion, what do I like more? It's difficult. I'm gonna have to say, in my opinion, I still prefer Queen Elizabeth pieces, just because the heritage, the history of her as a reigning monarch, it seems to me still to be a little bit more synonymous with gold and silver bullion. She's more recognisable. She's got a good reigning history, whereas the future of King Charles is more unknown. Who knows what will happen? You can't really predict it. I think the honest answer is have a bit of both. They always say diversity is key when investing, don't they? You know, having index funds, premium bonds, property, whether it's on rental, whether it's your own property, whether it's industrial properties. Diversity is key. So I don't think you could go wrong with having both. Maybe it is better to have both, because either way, they're going to be worth their weight's value. They're both going to be easily sellable in the future. Whatever happens to the price of silver, they're relatively going to be the same, because silver's worth its own weight value. Maybe one or the other might have a slight premium over each other, but really when you come to selling it and liquidating it, that's probably not going to affect what you're going to be receiving for them, because a bullion dealer will give you, for example, just over spot price, or some bullion dealers may only give you spot price. It depends on how they want to buy them and the time that when you sell them. But overall, I'm going to keep this episode short and say I don't think you can go wrong with having either. I think it's a good idea to have a bit of both. And at the end of the day, it is mother and son, and I think they go quite well together. So it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for these lovely pieces. But let me know what you think in the comment section below, whether you prefer Queen Elizabeth or whether you prefer King Charles. As always, a big shout out to the channel members, the premium future investors. Thank you for your support. You can find the future premium investors links in the description below. Go and check out their channels. They're a big part of the channel. So thank you very much for watching as always. And until next time, I'll see all of you wonderful future investors in the very next episode. Bye-bye, guys. To watch another episode on future investments, click the link now.